Roberts project, because Wally, if you didn't know, was a big help to us in designing this, and a lot of his expertise and knowledge came into play in building this new bat. So we appreciate Wally's efforts in that. So without wasting a whole bunch of time, I usually teach by PowerPoints, but I think it will be better if we just log into the system, and I'm on the testing version, which is exactly the same, but just kind of walk through it. And if you have any questions or concerns or want to see something, just type it in. Wally will get that to me, and we'll go there. So your same usual login from the previous version of BATS will work here. If you've used BATS since we've flipped the switch from the old version to the new version, you may have come across some problems. And we thought we had all those bugs worked out in testing before we went to live, but when we attached it to the new live database, we had a lot of little things break. So we're still working. They released a new version today in testing. We'll test that, and if it's okay, we'll release that probably Monday in the live version. So we'll see a lot of fixes every week. So we know about a lot of those little bugs that we're seeing. So if you come across anything, please send us an email, call us, just get that to us. We've probably heard of it, but just to make sure, go ahead and send it in. That way we can make sure we get all those little bugs fixed.
You have to go by other places.
Quite a few.
So when you first log in, the biggest difference you'll see from old BATS to new BATS is the large map in the center of the screen. And what that's there for is for your situational awareness. So there's lots of features on this map you can play with. If I just want to see fires in my state or fires in any state, I can just check or uncheck any of these things. The default is all incidents within the last 7 days in your state. So my state is Alabama, so that's what it shows. I can change that to any state I want to just by Xing out of that. So if I want to see Kansas, choose Kansas and just fire incidents, and I could go 7 days, 14 days, all the way up to 10 years. So let's just say all the fires in Kansas in the last, it shows me one in Africa. So this is a testing system. So we've got some real incidents and some not real incidents, some fake incidents that we put in here just for testing purposes. So, but as you can see, it shows all the fires in Kansas. If it's in your neighborhood, we can zoom in, and let's say I haven't seen that fire yet. I can click on it, click on the icon, and it's going to tell me a little bit about that fire. So this may be a real incident actually. So if you're here, I apologize, but it tells me the investigator's name, phone number. I can also click on the BATS number and get even more information about that incident. So if I'm working a case that has similar characteristics, maybe we have the same suspect. So it's that connect the dots thing that we like to do in BATS, and hopefully get two investigators together that are working the same suspect and put somebody in jail. But there's lots of features to this map. So we can change the way the map looks like. So this is a street view, but maybe I want a satellite view. Change the map and kind of show a little different picture. So that's the base maps feature there. I can also do measurements. So if I want to see how many miles it is between this incident and this incident, so it tells me that's 0.66 miles between the two. Or if, let's say this fire I was working, we cordon off this amount of area to work the fire or for the investigation, and sometime management wants to know that information, that we shut down 132 acres. So you make that square and it tells me acres, and I can change that from other measurements as well. So, and on the measurement thing, I can do miles, kilometers, feet, meters, yards, nautical miles. On the square thing, I can do square miles, acres. So lots of cool features in this map. I hope you use it. I hope it's something you would like. We spent a lot of time and it's still working on this map to get it right.
Hey, Chris, a question has come up is, can you draw a buffer from a fire scene to say, you know, it's 1,000 feet around this fire scene or something like that?
I think we can do square feet on the square, so let's try that. We'll zoom into our fire scene here. And measurements, we'll go to the square, and I think we can do square miles or square feet. Let's do square feet and just see what that is. I haven't tried this yet.
Or 1,000-foot radius.
So that will be 217,000 square feet.
Well, I think the question was like a buffer from the center of the fire scene, 1,000 feet all the way around, like a buffer zone.
I'll tell you what. All right, let me change that to feet. Probably not real easily, but we could probably get it done. Let me try to start over. So here, and if I go, just kind of look at it and go 1,000 feet this way. That's roughly 1,000 feet. That will be 1,000 feet. And then I'm learning this as you guys are taking. I haven't been asked that question before. So I know that's back to 1,000. So if I did one more that way, so that's from that. It'd be a little difficult, but I like the idea. That may be something we could work on. That first one will be easy, but to do like 4 of them, I think will be a little. I'll work on that and see what a good solution to that is.
Okay, it was just a quick question.
Yeah, I like that. There's some more filters that we're working on that, and one of the filters that I want to add in there is for accelerant canines and explosives canines. And for all those registered canines we have in bats, that would be a filter you could check. And as soon as you check that, it would show your nearest canine to you. Hopefully you know that, but if you don't, that would be one more thing that we could show. But we could show agencies in bats, military bomb squads. We can click that, and if you hit apply there at the bottom, it will show all those new agencies. We're still working on the map, but I think it's got a lot of potential to be very helpful. So that's the map. I encourage you to play with it. If you have any suggestions, or like we did on the feet thing, that would be awesome. So I'll write that down, and then we'll work on that. So most of what everyone does is enter their incidents in the bats. So let me go back one. So everything in incidents are going to be under the incidents button. So I click on incidents, and my options are manage my incidents that I've already created, create a new incident, and then there's incident review. And I may have some features here that you guys don't have, but most of you will have all these. So we'll hit create incident, and a little bit different than when we had before. We had all the questions you had to answer, and now we don't have those anymore. Date, time, location, and incident type is all you really need to create a BATS incident now. Now everything else is just gravy, and of course this is a database, and a database is only as good as the information you put into it. So we want you to add as much as you can, or as much as you know about your case. So like I said, date, time, location is always first. So if I click the incident date button, and the calendar comes up. Choose the date. Time comes up in 30-minute increments, but I find it easier just to type the time. So if it's 1:12 p.m., I like to do military time, so I'll hit 1312, tab over, and it will change it to 1:12 p.m. for me. Now, the only thing to remember here is you can't do anything in the future, a date or time in the future. So if I did 14:30, which is 2:30 p.m. in the future, it's not going to let me put that because that's a date and time in the future. If you're good enough to predict incidents, you're probably in the wrong line of business. So that's my date and time. Now, there's two ways, actually three ways, to enter a BATS location. I can enter it here right under the address information in this box here, and it's kind of like a Google type search. As soon as I start typing my address, it's going to give me examples of what it thinks that I might be looking for. So if I typed 1212, it's going to give me a bunch of locations close to me. So I'm going to say it happened here in Huntsville, Alabama. And if I click it and choose it, it's going to automatically fill in all these boxes below. And it'll also give me the lat and long of that location. Now, once I have that address selected and that's correct, I can click map it, and it's going to show that on the map exactly where I am. I can also use the map and enter my address over here either way. So if I changed my mind, it's 1400 Clinton Avenue. Click on that, hit select, and it's going to change it over here for me. So I find it just a little easier to use over here, so I always just use this one. It's easier for me. Click map it, and it's going to move it over just a little bit. So that's our date, time, and location. If there's a box here for additional directions, or if you need to put a little more information in, but it's not mandatory. A new feature in BATS for this version is this initial response dispatch. So what that's for is the initial call to 911 or the initial call to the fire department or the police department or whoever. What did they first call in? So was it a fire alarm that turned into be a structure fire? Was it a fireworks complaint that turned out to be some kind of bombing or explosion or something like that? And the reason we did that was those two examples, but not only that, but we were getting a lot of requests for information here at the bomb data center as far as like how many bomb threats to a school actually turned out to be something. And we really weren't getting those, really wasn't capturing that data. So we were capturing, okay, we had bomb threats, and we were capturing that, hey, they recovered a device at a school, but we didn't know if it started out as a bomb threat or not. So this is what that is trying to accomplish there. So it could be anything. It's a very large drop down. So, but there's also a kind of a search function here at the very top. So if I say it started out as a traffic stop, just start typing TRA, and now it gives me all the traffic stuff. If it's a mentally disturbed person, it's going to kind of narrow those down. It's kind of that Google type intuitive search to kind of help you with that drop down. So let's say we had a fire alarm is what started this call. So that was the initial response, or the initial dispatch was a fire alarm. And now I'm going to select what my actual final result was. So I click on select incident type. Okay, well, let me know if I go a little fast. I don't know if it's lagging behind or not. So I'm trying to kind of slow down a little bit. So now I get to what we call the incident tree. So our two main categories in BATS are arson stuff and explosive stuff. So that's my first two choices. So I'm going to choose fire. And now it's going to ask me, okay, was it an actual fire? Was it a recovery of some kind of incendiary device? Or was it an arson threat? we're going to say we had a real fire. And then my options are, was it an accidental fire? Was it incendiary? Was it of natural causes? Is it under investigation, or is it undetermined? So we don't quite know yet, so we're going to say it's still under investigation. That's my end, so hit save continue. And so now we're getting into the meat and potatoes of your BATS case. So we've entered our date, time, location, incident type, and as you can see at the top left, we have our BATS ID number, 461065. So this is really all you have to enter as far as entering a case into BATS. But like we said, the more information you put in there, it's not only going to help us, it's going to help you, and it's going to help other investigators that may look at your case. So what we have now are what we call ribbons. All these horizontal blue ribbons here, they're all expandable, they can all contract. And the reason we did that is to try to keep everything on one page. So you don't have tabs across the top, tabs across the left side of the page like we did in OBATS. It's all in one spot. So the incident information, you can see that it has a green circle next to it. That's because that's what we've already entered. Date, time, location, initial response, incident type. We've already entered that. It turned that circle green, so we're good to go. We don't have to go back in there. And what you'll also see is the red circles. And what that's telling you is, hey, there's some information we'd like you to put in there. Technically, it's not required, but we would like you to put that information in there. So I expand that, and now I've got a lot more ribbons under here. We're just kind of going to go through each one of these kind of slowly. So under agency case information, I have a place to put my investigation title, the status, that's closed, opened, or whatever. A place to put my case number. Is it a joint investigation, or is it just your agency? On jurisdiction. And here's the restricted, unrestricted. So I think if you guys have already been using BATS, I won't kind of go into that, but this is where you will restrict your case or unrestricted.
Hey, Chris.
Yes.
I had a question for where the accelerant is suspected. Can we get a pending laboratory analysis option?
On the incident type?
I think that's what he was talking about there, yeah. Or
Seems like we had talked about that, haven't we, Wally?
and I don't remember where it was when we talked about that. Mike, I turned your microphone on so you can clarify your question to him.
Hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my question. When we're cutting a case and you go through your incident options, when you get to accelerant, it's like yes, no, and I forget what the other option is, but it seems like we used to have a pending lab analysis.
Yeah, there was a pending lab analysis somewhere, and I don't remember where it was at in the old version. But I think that's what he's talking about.
I think I'm the same way. I remember that somewhere, but I don't remember. It wasn't an incident type. I do know that. I just don't remember where that was. And we'll go through it, and maybe we can find that again.
Okay, thanks.
Your incident information.
It was under incident information. Somebody said that. All right, so let's just go one by one. This may help me as well, and maybe we can find that again on that pending lab. So what you'll notice that at the bottom of every ribbon is a Save Continue button. I would recommend doing that. You guys may know you may have walked away from BATS for a few minutes and came back, and everything you left up there is now gone because it kicked you out. The developers tell me it's 20 minutes. If you don't do anything for 20 minutes, it will kick you out. I swear it's sooner than that, because it's happened to me as well. But as soon as you click that Save Continue button, let me choose federal involvement. As soon as you click that Save Continue button, it starts that time over again. So they tell me now I've got 20 minutes before it's going to kick me out. But Just clicking around won't do it. You have to click that Save Continue button. All right, so persons, organization, and vehicles, that's kind of self-explanatory and very similar to what we used to have in BATS. We'll add a person real quick just to show how that works. The first option is relationship. So that's your victim, your suspect, your owners, reporting parties, that kind of stuff. And it could be multiple. So I can just start typing. And it's not working. Like I said, this is a testing site. They may have broke that last night when they entered the new thing. But it's multiple. As soon as you start typing victim, it'll bring up victim and you can select it. But like I said, you can do multiple there. The juvenile, yes or no, that's just like old BATS. Last name, so we'll do Murphy Patty. And again, put as much or as little information as you know. We've got all kinds of problems. So my options at the bottom there are save and save and lookup. The save button, all that does is save your person in your case. The save lookup button searches BATS for that person to see if he's ever been entered as a suspect or a victim or anything like that. And as fire investigators, you know that if you got a reporting party of the same guy for 5 different fires, we might need to start looking at him as a suspect instead of a reporting party. So that's that case management deconfliction kind of thing that we like about BATS. So I hit save and look up, and now it gives me several cases that Patty Murphy was involved in. Because somebody put a picture of him, I can also see him. So I can kind of look at those and say, yeah, that's my guy, or no, that's not my guy. And it also gives me the BATS users who put that information in there. So I can contact them if I need to. So that's we'll say that's not our guy. They're similar, but they're not our guy. So I can hit hide, and it takes all those away. Now below here is all where you'll enter the person's address, aliases, driver's license number, all that kind of stuff. The address is just like entering the address for the incident. So we won't waste time with that. But again, just all the information for that person is there. So if that's all I want to do, I'm good with that. I can click that green button. It's going to collapse everything. I must have added a different person. So the green button now tells me, okay, I've added a person in there, and it gives me a 1. Let me know I've added one person to that person to my case. If I added a second person, that would change to a 2. The organizations, that's just like the persons, but what this is for let's say Walmart burned, and that's your victim, or Starbucks is your victim of a Molotov cocktail case. That would be the victim, so that would go under organizations and not under a person. The vehicle is kind of self-explanatory, but this is where we can add all the vehicles if that's pertinent to your case. And again, I can track those, kind of hide those when I'm done. Files and photos, I know you guys will have a lot of questions on that probably. The way to add photos in any kind of digital file, it doesn't have to be a photo, it could be a recorded interview, some kind of digital recording, or a video, or a PDF document of a search warrant or S warrant or something like that. Any kind of digital file you can add in this section. The process to add these are a lot easier than it used to be. Unfortunately, we're still kind of limited on the file size, or the file size, and the total size you can have. That will change in the future. We're just not there yet. They tell me it's going to be unlimited, so you can add as many or as little as files and photos as you want to. So if you take 1,000 photos at a scene, you can put them all in here. Now that's going to take some time, but so if I click Add Files, I don't know if I have any pictures on this computer. Let's see. I don't think I do. But it's going to search your computer, and I'm not on my computer, so I don't have any photos on here. But it could be, again, it could be any kind of file. So let's put that Excel document in there. Just click on it, hit open, and it puts it over there. If it was a photo, it didn't like that. So if it was a photo, it'd have a little thumbnail over here on the preview. So it didn't like that file. Let me see if I can find something else.
Chris, we found through trial and error that it has to do with the name of the file, and if there's any characters in it, commas or dashes or other things like that, it doesn't like it.
Doesn't like that?
Yeah.
Okay. So I've got a couple of photos here. I just found them, so we'll put that in there. We'll see if it likes those underlines. It may not. So that's part of it. So those worked. And Wally, if you know those little picadillos, can you email those to me just so I'll know them, and then we can maybe try to get a fix for that too?
Yes, sir, will do.
Yeah, I don't want you to have to just know that. Just maybe it may be an easy fix that they can do.
Okay.
So you guys won't have to worry about that. So again, so I did 4 photos at one time, and it went pretty quick. So that was a big point for us that they had to do in this version, was to get that a lot easier for you guys to do. Now, the only thing I will kind of caution you about is make sure you know or kind of watch what those file names are, and just because whatever it's saved on your computer is what's going to be displayed here. So I just warn some people for that, just for, as long as it's not something dirty or rude or something like that is what I meant. So I can hit upload complete, so I'm done doing my files. And it's going to give me a little different view, and then it's going to tell me I've got 4 files in here. And I can go in to edit not edit the photo, but kind of give a more description for that file. So I can say scene examination or something like that. I can also relate it to a device or some kind of material that we recovered, or I can relate this photo to anything else that I've entered in the BAT. So if I've already put a narrative, or if I put a person or a vehicle, I can relate this photo to that. So all we've entered is a person, so I can relate that to him if I wanted to. Hit save. And now it tells you, now I've got a little more file description in here for that photo. So if I want to look at that photo more closely, I can go over to the left, hit download, and Windows is going to ask me, okay, do you want to open that? And now I can see a little better picture that it's not a thumbnail anymore. So that's files and photos. We kind of good on that, or is any questions on that? All right. So our next ribbon is incident narratives, and pretty much just like old BATs, except it's supposed to be a little better. We've had some issues that we've already identified and we're trying to fix, but if you copy and paste over, it looks good here, but when you print it out, it's not right. So they're working on that now. So, but the idea is for you to be able to copy and paste a Word document over. The upgrades were in the old BATs, you couldn't, if you copied and pasted, it wouldn't do bold or underlines or italics or that kind of stuff wouldn't come over. And it's supposed to come over now. So I can give my narrative a title. We'll say we did it today, and it was our, well, that's not working either. But that drop down will be opening report, arrest report, interview report, that kind of thing. And again, copy and paste, or you can type in here. Go to save, continue. Once my report's in there, and so now it tells me I've got one report in there, my name, my email, my phone number, and who did it. If I added a second one, now it tells me I have 2 in there and what dates I did them and all that kind of stuff. So because I'm the person that entered those, I can view it, I can edit, or I can delete it. If let's say somebody in my office or somebody in my agency is assisting me with this case, they can add reports to my case, but they won't be able to edit or delete my case, my narratives.
Hey, Chris, I've had a question on when you think the report issue will be fixed. The printout portion.
Right. That's that may be, and we just had a drop in testing today in this version that we're using today. I think that's why we're seeing the little glitches that you're seeing now. I'm not sure if that was. I haven't looked at the release notes on that, so I'm not sure. It's supposed to be fixed soon.
Okay.
So if it's in this drop and it tests okay, it'll probably be Monday. Because they'll do the drop in testing like on Thursday or Friday, and then we'll test it. If it looks good, they'll put it in the live version the following week.
Okay.
So it may be Monday or it may be the next Monday if it's not in this version.
Thanks, sir.
And I know that's it's probably not the answer you wanted to hear, but unfortunately, I just can't fix it. We're relying on other people to fix it. So we'll get it fixed as soon as we can. So that's our narratives. Our next ribbon is property use target type. All this you guys have seen before. So the property use. So what type of property? We're at a residence, or we at a hotel, or we at a bar, or whatever. It's a big drop down, and it's that standardized nomenclature that we use to try to keep everything kind of standardized. But if I start typing, let's say bar, it'll give me, okay, that's assembly, bar, nightclub, tavern. So if I say it was a hotel, it'll give me residential, hotel, motel. So just kind of start typing in, and if I say residential, it's going to give me all the residentials, and I can choose which one that is. The status, so that is it occupied and operating? Is it under construction? Is it abandoned? So we'll say we're occupied and operating. The secondary use property type, and you guys probably don't use this very often, but the way I see that is those rare cases where, like, Monday through Saturday, this is used as a civic center, but on Sundays it's used as a church. Now, the church would be the secondary property use. So if that's the way I see that. And then predominant race, if race is a factor in your case, you can put that. If it's not, you can just leave it blank. Hit save and continue. And then our next one, it didn't save it, did it? They broke a lot of stuff with this drop. Scene detail, just like we had in OBATs. The fixes here from OBATs is the damage amounts and pre-incident values. We don't have those character limits anymore. So if we had $10 million in damage or whatever, we can put that, and it's going to take it now. And a pre-incident value is $20 million. It's going to take all that now, as it didn't before. All the other stuff is exactly the same. Fire descriptors, you can do multiple here. So if it's careless use of disposing materials or unintended cooking, or it was an appliance, energized appliance, so you can do multiple there. I think everything else was pretty much the same as OBATs.
Chris had a question about the red dot under property use target type. I think just because it means something in there is not done, or.
Yeah, and like I said, I think they broke something when they made this latest drop in the testing. That's where we are now. Now I can't select anything. So and that's that's the battle we're fighting. Just so you guys are aware. We'll say, okay, this is broken. They'll go fix it, but when they do that, it breaks something else. So that's it's nonstop every day that we're fighting with that. But so I apologize for that. But what that's saying is, yeah, there's something in there that we haven't entered. We'd like for you to enter. And again, I can't change that to green because now it won't let me select anything. But we can switch over to a different version and see if that works. But we'll just stay on there now. So, but that's what that red dot on incident details is staying red until I can fill that red dot out on property use target type. If I could fix that, I'll tell you what, we'll try to do that real quick. Let me hit save, continue. Yeah, that's gonna make me. I may just break the whole thing. So I'm gonna go back to that incident. See if I refresh and see if it does anything for me. No, we've got to get that fixed. That's a bug I'll have to report. But yeah, as soon as I enter all that stuff, that red circle should turn green, and then when I do that, the red circle on the incident details will turn green. All right, device and materials. This is a little change from old bats, and you guys probably don't deal with this very often, but if there are some of those guys and gals that wear two hats as a fire investigator and a bomb investigator, or explosive investigator. In old bats, everything was a device, whether it was a stick of dynamite or an IED or a Molotov cocktail. They were all devices. So we've kind of separated those now. So if it's a device, we're going to put that under the device ribbon. If it's military explosives or commercial explosives that's not associated with a device, we're going to put that under materials. And another example we could use that, let's say we do a search warrant at a house, and in the garage you find 4 or 5 IEDs completed, ready to go, but then in a shed out back you find a bunch of explosive materials that's not associated with those devices, or is not part of those devices. We would put the IEDs found in the garage under device, and then all the other stuff under materials. So we'll just do that real quick. You guys may have Molotov cocktails. I would consider that a device. So just click on Add Device Components. The first thing we got to do is give that device a name, and you'll see why that's important later on. But I can say Molotov 1 or Molotov 2. Next is quantity. We're going to say we have one of them. I can give property IDs if you want to put that in there now. The placement method. So we're going to say it was thrown because it was Molotov cocktail. The location, I know those big drop downs, but we'll say I found it in the kitchen or whatever. This tactical purpose and technical design, these last 2 drop downs on the bottom, are new to this version of BATS, and that's more on the IED world. So that's going to be, was it anti-first responder, or anti-personnel, anti-vehicle kind of device? That's the tactical purpose. The technical design, was it a suicide IED, a vehicle-borne IED, that kind of stuff. Again, more of the bomb squad side, so if it's not pertinent to your case, just leave it blank. And we hit Save, Continue. And we get a BATS error.
Chris, a couple of questions popped up. If it's broken on the test site, does that mean it's broken on the live site too?
No, it does not. And the reason, this all worked yesterday. They did a new version in testing today. So that's why. So let me go to another we got another testing site that they haven't changed. Let me go to that and see if we can do a little better.
Okay. And the second question is there a way to, like and I don't know if validate is the proper word, but the question is get an option to validate the report so it'll identify what areas need to be completed?
Well, for us, the only thing that's required is date, time, and location and incident type. Now, your agency may require you to enter more information. But like I said, we've actually cut out a lot of mandatory fields that we used to have. Now, with that being said, there are some things in like materials and devices that we were just talking about that there are a couple of mandatory fields like quantity and each or that kind of thing, and we'll look at that. So let me go back to innocent of already. I've changed sites.
Because I know like agencies can make some fields mandatory, but we have found, at least in our office, that that's not working.
Oh, you're not able to change your
Well,
make it mandatory?
they're selected as mandatory fields, but BATS doesn't say you didn't fill out that field, where before you weren't allowed to save it if it wasn't done. Does that make sense?
I'm not sure I'm following you. Say that one more time.
In the old version, we had the same mandatory fields now as we did in the old version. In the old version, if you didn't put in information in the mandatory field, you were not allowed to save it and continue until you filled out that mandatory field. In the new version of BATS, we're finding that it doesn't do that. You don't have to fill out the mandatory field.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. We've actually made less mandatory fields.
Well, as an agency, I've made it on my agency side where it's mandatory, but in the administrative section, right? Yeah.
Okay. I'll get with them and see. That's probably a bug that they forgot to check a box or something.
Okay.
But I'll get that. I appreciate you letting me know. But all right, so I went back to the testing 2, which is pretty much the same thing, but they didn't do a drop on this today. So as you can see, it's working a little better. So I choose our property use and our status and all that. Hit save continue, and it turns it green, and it turns my incident details button green. So we'll go back to devices. We're going to have to start that over. Molotov 1. All right, so now I've entered our device, just the basics, and now it's going to want me to enter as much as I know about my device. So most of the devices that are put in BATS are explosives devices, but in this case, we're going to do a Molotov cocktail. So each of these red dots are just like our red dots on our ribbons. So it wants me to put something in there. It's not mandatory, but it's telling me I want you to put something in there. So I can click on container, click add material, and we're going to say we had a glass bottle. So bottle jug, and then again, as much as I know, or as little as I know, this is one of those mandatories is the quantity. So I'm going to say 1 each. And say I knew it was a green bottle. So I can hit green. Save, continue, close, and now I've entered our container, our glass bottle is our container, and it turned it green. So our main charge is going to be gasoline, I guess. So click on that. Find ignitable liquid. And again, as much or as little as I know about it. For time's sake, we'll just kind of go through it because all this stuff is just like BATS now. So now it knows my main charge is I put it there and it's green. Let's say we didn't have a power source, but it tells me I have a red dot there. I can put unknown or not applicable in this case. So I'm going to say not applicable, and that's all I got to do to turn it green. Same thing with switch, not applicable in this case, so it turns it green. Initiator will be some kind of cloth or wick. I think it's under a wick here. So I can choose wick, and now as much or as little as I know of that wick. So let's say we had some kind of red cloth was our, and that's all I know so far until I get some lab reports or something like that. Save continue. We had no booster, so I'm putting not applicable. There are no enhancements, so I say not applicable. So now it turned everything green. Now that once I put all my materials in for that Molotov cocktail. Now what most of you may see is this red for RSP. If you're not a bomb tech, you can't put that in there, and we're not going to RSP a Molotov cocktail anyway, so it's not that big a deal. So that's my device. So let's say once we got to the scene and discovered the Molotov cocktail, we also found some dynamite or whatever in the back shed. So now I can click that materials button, expand that, and say, okay, we found some explosives, and it was some dynamite. So now it wants to tell me, put as much information as you know about that dynamite. So we got a date shift code. We had just one stick. And if I know that information, I can. If not, leave it blank. Save continue. Close. If you're a bomb tech, you'll have this RSP button here, so I can say I RSP that dynamite, render safe that dynamite. Or if you saw me put in that date shift code, that's just like a serial number on a firearm for tracing ability. So I can click on the trace button to trace those explosives. Click OK, and it's going to bring up the Htf Tracing Form. It's going to fill out most of the stuff that I've already entered into BATS. I may have to enter a couple of things. So I'll put my phone number in here. I may have to say, okay, this was an arson investigation, and I may have to fill out a couple more things, but then click Submit Explosives Trace, and you're doing that trace electronically. And so we have people here at the Bomb Data Center that gets that trace form from you electronically. They'll do all the trace. They'll trace it back to the manufacturer, the distributor, and that may give you some kind of lead to find out where those explosives came from. So that's materials. All right, again, the RSP stuff, that's for bomb techs. Additional information. This is pretty much what we had in old BATS. The casualties is the first one. So if we had any victims or suspects or fire personnel injured or fatalities, if not, just hit 0 for all of them. Save continue, it was a gray circle there, but turned it green, we're good. Mortgages and insurance, pretty much the same as old BATS, but we'll add one just to kind of show you. Put the insurance company name, what kind of insurance it was. Crap, that's not working. But that's going to be homeowners insurance, that kind of thing. The insured's name, policy numbers, all that good stuff. So all that information we had in BATS, their coverage, point of contacts for the insurance company, insurance agent, all that good stuff. I think all that was in BATS before. So save continue, and it tells me I put one insurance information in there. Same thing with mortgage. It's going to be your mortgage or your mortgage numbers and amounts and bank information, all that kind of stuff. The next one is weather information. That's exactly as it was before. That takes you to weather underground to give you that information. we asked them to make it automatic. So once I go there, I just click a button and fills all this in for me. They said they couldn't do that because it was a security thing. So unfortunately, it'll give you the information, but you have to put it over here and type it in. Save, continue, turns to green. I'm good with that. This is kind of new, the K9 alerts, so we can use explosives K9 or accelerant K9, and it's just a yes or no. Did you have an alert or not an alert? The agency custom fields, I'll have to admit, I haven't played with very much. And actually, I don't have any in here. But Wally, are you guys using these custom fields? There they are.
Yes, we use those. Those are some of those that we've made mandatory, but it's not
making it mandatory.
Correct.
Okay. I'll pass that along. But as you can see, my agency hasn't done anything on these, but your agency can make those for you, and I'll work on that thing for you, Wally. The related incidents and activities. This is pretty much like BATS was before. If you've got some arsons that are related, you can relate those incidents, or if you've got peer review or those kind of things you do for somebody, you can do an activity for that and relate it back to this incident. The easiest way is to, if you know the other BATS number, put it in there, but I can also search. So what's my number here? I'll find one close. 461064. So I don't know what that is, but we'll relate those two cases together, and it's the easiest way to do it. I'm going to delete that because I'm not sure what that one was. I thought maybe it was mine. Or like I said, you can search. Same thing with activities. If you know your activity ID number, you can put it in here and hit link. Or I can look at my existing activities that I've already created. It'll show me a list of them, which is not very many, evidently. Or I can create a new activity. And it's just like creating a case, date, time, location, and then select my nature of activity down here. We've got a lot of drop downs that aren't working. So that's how I'll do that. So that's your related incidents and activities. And then if you want to give other people access to your case, would be where you'd put this information. So on the very bottom here, I can give other groups access, I can give other investigators access, or I can give whole agencies access. So I can add another investigator. So I want to give them access to come in, write reports, that kind of thing, or maybe just view it. Boy, we got a problem with drop downs. So I'm gonna find somebody in the K9 branch. They came out and helped me. We'll say Jason Shirkley. And then the access type. So if I give them read access only, so they can go in and read my case, but they can't make any modifications. If I give them write access, they can write reports, add information, but they can't change any information. I can also give them a date range to, okay, I'll give you access, but only for a week, or that kind of thing. Or just if you leave that blank, it gives them access forever and ever. Hit save, and there it gives me a 1, and I gave one person access to my case. Same thing with agencies and groups. You can find a whole agency and put them all in there. The groups are still a little weird. We're trying to fix those. Wally, do you guys use groups at all, or?
Yeah, we have 3 different groups, and then there's a task force in the Kansas City area that there's a lot of us on that group as well.
As far as the new version go, are they working okay for you, or have any problems with them?
The drop that they made today or yesterday fixed the issues we were having. They made a drop, it broke it, and then they made a new drop and it fixed it.
Oh, yeah. it's a constant battle. I apologize. But, so that's pretty much entering an incident. Now, if your agency has supervisors that have to approve your report, once you're done, you hit submit for review, and it's going to go to your supervisor to approve it. And I could say, put a little comment, please check this, or
Now, does this send an email or a tickler to the supervisor to say that you have an incident to review?
not right now. We asked for that, and I think they're thinking about it or working on it or something. But right now, no. The supervisor would have to go into. Let me get back to that. So, and then the other option is to print your report, and it's just like old bats. It's going to be pretty much the same. I can add my supervisor's name if I want to. Yasmin is not my supervisor, but she acts like it. Generate report, and it's going to say, okay, what do I want to include? I'm going to say include all, check all to include all that stuff. And I'm going to choose all the persons I want to enter. I want to choose all my photos, choose all my narratives. And then, as you can see, the reports are just like they were before. So I can tab through, print them out. Now I'm going to go to the narrative section. Of course, I didn't copy and paste, so I was hoping I'd do a little testing and teaching at the same time.
Are they going to make any changes to the report format? I know that's something we talked about when we were out there at NCEDR.
Yes, I'm not a big fan of this format, but I've been overruled. What would you like to see changed?
Well, it prints out like a 15-page report that can probably be done in 5.
I know that was there's a lot of white empty space. I think we'll revisit that. But right now we've just got lots of other bugs to fix before we get to that. But I agree with you, Wally, totally. I think
Okay. And then we just had a question. Will attachments and photos print off from BATS when you print the report?
Photos, yes.
I know what he's asking. You enter in, you may upload 4 or 5 PDFs to print those off to give them to the fire department or the sheriff's department or something like that. You have to go and individually download each PDF and print it rather than hitting one button and printing all attachments.
Right now, if you did a PDF and files and photos, it will not print the PDF.
Okay.
It'll just do the photos right now. I think that's another that probably won't be changed until later this year. I know it's not in the hopper to be fixed in the next 30 days. So it may be later, but I've also asked about that as well.
Okay. We had another said they're having problems adding investigators to their report. I don't know if you can walk through how to add an investigator to their case. I get from their own agency, maybe.
As far as access go, or somebody that participated in that.
He just answered the question. Adding other participating investigators can only enter the reporting investigator, not assisting investigators. Just a bug.
Okay, that's something I'm not aware of. So let's try it. So under incident participants is where I would put that. So if I want to say we had our whole team went out and investigated this, and I want to kind of keep up with that, click add member, and then these people at the top, Yasmina Clyburn, Amon Hawk, Luke Iverson, and Matt Nola, those are the people who I've saved in my address book as my favorites. So they're going to show up every time as a quick click. So I can add Yasmina real quick. Hit select user, and it puts Yasmina here on my case. Now I can click on modify, and I can go in and say, all right, I'm going to give her right access. She was a team leader, and she assisted arrest, collected evidence, scene examination, and she also took photos. I can do hours and that kind of stuff too, if that's important, or if you're supposed to.
Okay, and then something here while you're right there for the group, for when you add assisting investigators to your case so that they can get credit, you need to add them in the hours section in this area here, and then give them however much time they spent. And then when we get a report from the ATF, this is where we get that information to show that Keith was assisting me on one of my investigations or something like that. So,
right. So
that report we get from ATF shows us that Keith assisted, and Keith then gets credit for assisting in that.
all right. So that under the member hours, I just click that one to expand that, or I can click over here too. But so this is where I can put her hours in. I can say she was out there for 4 hours, but she also got 4 hours overtime, or Sunday pay, or holiday pay, or whatever. And then click on the little, I guess that's a disk button on the far right to save it. And now she's got 4 hours of regular time, 4 hours of overtime for this case.
Okay, and then another person said there's an option to add a digital signature. Is there a way to add your own digital signature when you print a report?
I saw that. Let's do it again. I have not messed with that yet. Let's see what that does. I think that was a requirement. I think they may just have that as a placeholder, and they haven't fixed it yet. So let me just kind of go through this real quick and see what it says at the end. So now I've got an option for download signed PDF. So now it's going, okay. I'm learning as I go.
I think if you scroll all the way to the bottom, it might show the signatures and the thing you're looking for.
Yeah, I think that is a digital signature, but I don't think that function is working right because obviously I'm not IPN Web. That's the development company that's working on this. Yeah, so I think that's the idea. I just don't think it's working yet. I imagine if you have your own digital signature on your computer or on your PDF or your Adobe, you could probably enter that here. Yeah, so I'll have to get back with you on that because I haven't played with that section yet. Yeah. So we'll work on that. All right. So that was in our incident. And then activities is just the same. I'll show you just real quick. We'll create an activity. And so that's all your, all your trainings, all your peer reviews or peer statements or lots of other stuff. There's lots of stuff in here. So all that stuff you usually don't get credit for. You can put that in here. You can also do hours and other stuff. Let me add one just real quick, just to show you. There's a couple of new features in here. So I'm gonna say 4 hours. Save, continue. Uh-oh. once I enter that date, time, location, and nature of our activities, now I can do a narrative for this activity if I choose to. I can add files and photos. So if I do a 40-hour training on some kind of arson investigation training, I guess would be a good example, and I got a certificate, I could scan that certificate and then upload it in here so I can keep it in my BATS account. And again, related incidents, if you know that, you can do that from this side too. Or if your whole team it had training that day, you could give other investigators shared, so you all wouldn't have to do an activity. You could all do it. One person could do it for everybody. That's what that sharing function is for. So that's a little better than what the activities were in the past. So go back home. Reports, mostly for supervisors and that kind of stuff, but anybody could do it. One of the new features is this Sbdc Reports. There's probably not anything in here, but I'll show you. Yeah, there's not, but there are going to be reports that we build at the Bomb Data Center and that you could subscribe to. So if you want to know, if we build a report for you guys for all the fires in Kansas that has to do with accelerants, and you can run that report every week, every month, every year, that kind of stuff, and you can subscribe to those automatic reports, and then you can unsubscribe if you get tired of getting emails. So it'll be more automated than it was in the past. But now, while you know, we can build any kind of report we want that you want and get it automatically emailed to you. Do you get any of those reports now?
Yeah, they're emailed to Carolyn, our assistant, and she saves those for to help us keep track for the CFIs in the state to get their recertifications, how many cases they work, and things like that.
Okay. The resources section is pretty much the same as it was before, but all the advisories and that kind of stuff. There's a couple of things that are new in here that we've recently added, just to let you guys know. Where did I put it? There was a PowerPoint in here for the new bats. If you want to do mobile bats, those instructions are in here. So there's lots of stuff. So if the setup instructions for mobile bats live, I can click on view. It's going to ask me if I want to open it, and it gives me the this is the old version, but it gives me the instructions on how to install mobile bats on my phone or tablet. Get rid of some of these. All right. So that's resources. There's lots of stuff in there, reports and stuff that we put out. And you just, whenever you're bored, go in there and see what you can find. The frequently asked questions tab is a new one. So there's a lot of questions that we'll get, especially with a new version, and we'll try to update this as much as we can. So if we get a lot of the same questions, we can answer those. So if you're having a problem, you may find it in here. If not, give us a call, send us an email. We'll answer your question pretty quickly, hopefully.
I had a question. Is activity still only to be viewed by members of your own agency? I believe that's true. Isn't it?
Say that one more time.
The question is, are activities still only to be viewed by members of your own agency? So I can't look at Wichita's activities, and Wichita can't look at my activities unless I share it with them. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah. Right. You can't like search activities. Right. Yeah. Like you can as opposed to incidents where you can search everybody's stuff.
Okay.
Right.
And then there's another question. Is there anything special we need to do? Oh, no, that's for me. Never mind. I'll answer that one for him.
All right. Administrative tools, that's more for supervisors. But especially for account managers, this is where you can go in and update people's phone numbers, emails, that kind of stuff. but you can also do your own. Do we have any canines, Wally? Canine handlers?
I don't think we have any here on the. Yes, we do have one on the. Chris from our office is on here.
Okay. Well, there's a whole new canine section in Sbdc. It was built from the ground up. So if I click on canine, the first thing you have to do is create your dog in here. I've already put 3 dogs in here, so that didn't ask me to do that. But my options once I create my dog are utilization. So if you get called to a scene, that's pretty much a BATS incident for your dog. So if I click on utilization, it's going to be almost exactly like entering a case. So date, time, location, that kind of stuff, all that stuff is there. Oop, went too far. So then I have the option to keep up with my dog's training. So I click on training, click add new record. And so I put the date and time, what type of training I did. There's some big drop downs here. So we'll say fire scene and lineup, if I use the lease or not. So a lot of these, we try to build this canine section for not only accelerant canine, but explosive canine. So a lot of stuff you may not use and vice versa. So there's a lot of this is all new, so you can keep up with the unit, how much you did, and all that good stuff, and reps, depth level. This is all canine stuff that I don't know anything about. But click add. I probably forgot something. No, it says added. All right, click add, and now it's going to show up here as an entry that I made. This is the one I just did today. I could also do a calendar view and show what day I did what type of training. The month summary just kind of puts it up in a graph type shot. So you can keep up with all your dog's training. Let me go back to canine section. Keep up with the dog's health. So just like we entered the training, I can add a new record and I can keep up with, okay, we did preventatives today, and it was heartworm. My dog had a weight of 56 pounds. Click add, and just like we saw on the view below, or the view on training, it gives me a list view, a calendar view on what day we did preventatives, and we can generate reports for that too. So that was a big request from all our canine handlers to kind of keep up with all that health information, training information. I think we did a decent job at it. I think we still got some tweaking left to do on it. So if there's something in the drop downs that you guys are using that's not there, let us know and we can add it. So we want feedback from you, so you'll use it and it's beneficial to you. And the Bomb Data Center doesn't get a whole lot of data out of the canine, but we know how important you guys are. So
Can Canine Branch see these reports, or the guys still got to print them and send them to Canine Branch?
that was our goal, is so they wouldn't have to print them off. That the guys up at ATF Canine Branch can get it all, and they won't have to do it. That was the goal. I haven't talked with what was his name out of Virginia that came out to Denver with us. Do you remember, Wally?
I know who you're talking about, but yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but I haven't talked with him since we've released this new version, so we gotta figure that out. But that is the goal in the long run, is so they won't have to print them out, because they were doing old school stuff and a lot harder for them. So I think it will be better, but like I said, we've got some tweaking to do on it. So what we think? What we have any questions? That's pretty much everything. I know I went pretty quickly. So are there any other questions that we need to address?
I'm waiting to see if any pop up. None yet.
While we're waiting, I want to kind of apologize for all the little bugs we were having. We were promised we wouldn't have those, and they were working fine in testing. It's just when we made that switch to live, it broke a lot of stuff and broke a lot of links, and now they're trying to get ahead of those. So, but like you noticed, Wally, they fix one thing and it breaks something else.
Yep.
So it's a full-time job for us to be testing and trying to fix all these things. So
Had a couple of questions pop in.
okay.
If you can go over adding multiple pictures into a report one more time for us so this person could see that. And
Okay.
another question was, if a person labels restriction or if they list their case as restricted, what is restricted?
That's a good question. I mean, it is a good question. I can answer it. So, like, if I click on this case, it's not restricted. That's the case we just did. It's not restricted. So if I click on it, I can see all this stuff: the case number, what it is, injuries, fatalities. If it's restricted, I won't be able to see anything. I'll be able to click on that, but I won't be able to see anything. I can see that there was an incident there at this date and this time and who the investigator was. So if it's restricted, I can see all this information, but I won't be able to see all the details. Does that make sense? Actually, I'll tell you what, let's go into that one. And we'll make it restricted. 461065. And I'm hoping this works. So that was under agency case information. So I'm going to change that to restricted. Save, continue. And I may not be able to do this because it's my case. Yeah, that was not a good example because it's my case. I'm going to be able to see everything. Let me see if I can find one that's restricted. I'm going to come up, well, no, that's not right. This is a shot in the dark. Most people leave their cases unrestricted, so it's going to be hard to find. Hard to find one.
If it's restricted, it says right there at the top, restricted, right next to incident information and the case number.
It will say that? Do you see it now? Because I don't see it.
No, I don't see it right now, but
okay.
it does show it on the real version. If you logged in the real one, you could see it.
Yeah. But like I said, you'll be able to see that there's an incident there. You just won't be able to see any of the details. So we wanted that. So, like I said, for situational awareness, you can see that somebody's working a fire, and they'll give your information out. So in case that investigator needs to contact you, and that way you'll know whether or not you want to give him or her access to your case, or they just may just be being nosy and you don't want to give it to them. So, yeah. So, but I'll get back to that.
Okay. And can you demonstrate how to add more than one file at one time to a case?
Yep. So I'll go back to manage my incident here. Go back to files and photos. These are the ones that we added earlier. I'll add some more. And I can drag and drop them here, but I find it easier just to click add files. Let's see if I can find that where I found those before. So I'll do that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. Kind of, and what I did here was hit Control and then click all those to highlight them all at the same time. Hit open, and it puts them all over in there. Is that what we were asking? Once I'm done, hit upload complete. And now I've got all the photos that I put in there.
He says, yes, that was easy. Thanks.
All right, great. Yeah, this was also a big contention in the new version, is the ability to upload more files and faster, because before it took forever to do. If you had a pretty big file on a nice camera, it took forever just to upload one. So now it's a lot faster. If it's a big file, it's a little slower than what you saw there, but it is a lot better than what it used to be. And like I said earlier, it was in the future. Hopefully, that will be unlimited as far as the size and the amount of photos you can put in.
And do you know what the file size restriction is right now per file?
I'm told there is no single file restriction other than the total, but I've also heard of people saying that sometimes it won't let them. So the total is 100 megabytes per incident. So as you can see, those photos, the biggest one I have is 123 kilobytes. So I could get a lot on there for those. But if you've got a big file, if it's over 100 megabytes, it will not let you put it in there.
Yeah, the old BATS was a gigabyte per case, and now it's shrunk it to 100 megabytes per case. And we've ran into the issue already with some video or audio recordings.
Yeah. Was it a gigabyte per case? I thought that hadn't changed at all.
No, it was a gigabyte per incident on the old BATS.
Oh wow.
And now it's 100 megabytes. So.
Well, like I said, hopefully that will be. I know they're working on that, and that's part of the cloud stuff that we're going to. And they've been working on that for a while. Not the developers, but ATF has been working on that. So hopefully that'll be in the next couple of months to where we won't have any of those problems.
Cool.
So, and we're actually have been a test bed. BATS has been a test bed for all of ATF for a lot of these computer IT stuff that we're transitioning to. And one of those is the cloud. But BATS is the first one that will be using that. But then once that's all the bugs are working, figuring that out, then all of ATF will go to that. So.
Okay. And my administrative assistant had a request. Is there a way to put the agency's case number up in the top where incident details, BATS ID 461065? Is there a way that they can put the agency case number up there as well?
Right there, as soon as you go into it. I think that would be pretty easy to do.
You got to click a couple of places before you even get to what your case number is.
Yeah, it's under incident details, agency case information. So that's my case number that I put in there.
Yeah, and if that can be displayed up at the top by incident details or BATS ID or where the address is or something.
Yeah, I think we can do that because we asked for all this. So, and this is what they added new. So our incident type was fire that's under investigation, date, time, location of our fires, our fire. So that's what we entered before. So it automatically put it up there. I don't see why that couldn't also go up there.
I'll be honest with you, Chris. I don't really care about the BATS ID number, but I care about my agency's ID number.
Yeah, I got you. No, I understand that. Okay, so I'll send that up. That's probably something that could do pretty easily.
Okay.
I think it's easy. They may say, well, it's going to cost $100,000 to do that, but it shouldn't do that. So We'll, yeah, I'll send that up.
Thanks. There haven't been any other questions. There's a bunch of thank yous, but no more questions have popped up.
Okay. So I think it's a lot better. I think we have some growing pains and some little bugs that we didn't think we were going to have. Actually, some major bugs that they didn't have. So hopefully we'll get those resolved as quickly as possible, and it'll be a lot better for you guys and girls to use. So just let us know anytime. The easiest way to let us know of anything you find out, if you have any questions, is to email us, and it's USBDC for U.S. Bomb Data Center, USBDC@atf.gov. There's somebody that looks at that email box all day, every day. So that's the easiest way to, or you can call us, but that's always the easiest way.
Cool. Well, Chris, thank you so much for doing this for us. It was a big help. Appreciate it very much, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for what you do, Wally. I really do appreciate you.
All right, brother. You be safe, man. We'll talk soon.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Take care.